All right. Thank you for joining. I understand that you guys are still in the break mode, but this is necessary because of lab equipment being involved in this class. And there are different conditions for different people, so I'll talk more about that as we go through the discussion. And like I said, if you need any question answered or you have any thought that you want my response on, please use the chat box to communicate with me. So the course that we are going to be talking about is, of course, Introduction to ECSE, ECSE 1010, which happens to be the gateway course to the department ECSE. We have a class website that I've linked on this page, intro-ece.org. Currently, it is set up to take you to the fall 2020 page. I will be changing that with newer dates and making all the appropriate changes to get ready for the spring semester pretty soon. And this is what I want to talk about today. First, I'll introduce myself. I'll talk about the mode of delivery for this class. I'll also talk about the initial survey that I sent out. This is a Google form that takes about 5 minutes to fill out. I understand that many of you have already done that. If you have already done that, you don't need to do it again. But if you haven't, please take 5 minutes, even during this presentation, to fill it out. It will help us to get ready for the semester, and it's particularly important because lab equipment needs to reach you before we start in-person classes. I'll also talk about the equipment required for this class and where you can buy it from if you are interested in buying it on your own. And the online tools, the various online tools we will be using for this class. And then we'll end up with some question answer session. I'll also take questions during the presentation, so feel free to ask me along the way. This is me. My name is Mahmood Hamid. My email address is listed over here. My WebEx meeting space is also linked over here. Note that I will be posting these slides to Piazza after our meeting, so you will have all the links, the detailed information, access to all of that after the session as well. I'm involved in mainly the teaching aspect of the department. I teach various other classes, including ECSE 2610, Computer Components and Operations, Signals and Systems, KNOS, Communication Systems, Capstone, and also Electronic Instrumentation. So the mode of delivery for this class is the hybrid mode, which means that there's a flipped classroom, which essentially means that the lecture content through videos or through reading experiment instructions is going to happen outside the classroom, and what you're going to be doing inside the classroom is conducting experiments in groups of 2, and while you take help from the instructor, teaching assistants, and student assistants. This class is all about hands-on learning. So each class day will involve an activity or an experiment. These are designed to be bite-sized challenges that you go through. So they are intended to be mostly completed in one day, in one class day. Although if you don't do it during the class time, then you have opportunities during the week or that same day to complete it. Those are typically due after a week. So lecture content at home, mainly through videos, and then in the classroom itself, we will have a brief discussion depending on the topic. However, it will be mostly conducting experiments or simulations in the classroom. We also have many help sessions that are organized throughout the week. The graduate teaching assistants and the undergraduate student assistants offer help I try to schedule it as much as possible in the evenings. So last semester we had 2 hours or 4 hours on some days on every weekday evening after 6 p.m. Eastern time. And we also had, I believe, 2 hours on a Sunday in order to get ready for the Monday class. So you will have a lot of help session hours. These are, of course, virtual help sessions. This is an opportunity for you to make progress on your experiments, interact with the TAs to clarify any doubts you may have, and if you need some help with the homework, then you can also ask the teaching staff members there. My office hours range from 2 hours to 4 hours every week, and I'll let you know about how that works out for this semester next week or so. These are virtual office hours. We have an initial survey that I sent out. This is through Google Forms. The email was sent a couple of days ago on Tuesday, January 12th. The information is also there on the on Piazza. And if you haven't activated your Piazza account, I would request you to do that as soon as possible. We will be using Piazza to push announcements for the class. So this is a public, it's a class discussion forum tool that we will be using, and I suppose many other classes use this, and some of you might have already used it in the past. The link to the Google Forms is right here. Let me just copy this and hold up. Let me just copy this and paste it in the chat box so that you can. Give me 1 second while I take the link. All right. So I've pasted the link to the Google Forms in the chat box. So if you have not done that, you can just click on the link and fill out the 5-minute survey right now or after we end this presentation. But this is very important for you to fill out because of the lab equipment involved. All right, so what is the lab equipment required? We have a personal instrumentation board. It is ADA-LM1000. This is from Analog Discovery. In short, we are just going to call it M1K board. So this is what we use to find out certain voltages and currents, do all the circuit related instrumentation. We will be using this particular board for the class. And we would also need a parts kit, the ADA-LP2000 parts kit. The parts kit is available on the RPI bookstore. So if you want to purchase it right now, you could do that. And I'll talk more about the things that are involved in the purchase in just a bit. But those are the two things that you want to get your hands on. Every student in the class will need one M1K board and one parts kit. So the links to this, I've just put them over here. When I make this available, you can take them down. However, these are essentially, that's how the board looks like. These are essentially links to, not to buy, but to get some information about the board and the parts kit. Those are not the links to buy the equipment. I suppose I can paste these links as well. That's the first link to the M1K board information, and this is the second link to the parts kit. So you can find more information about the board and the parts kit at these links. How do they look like? is what is next. So that's what the M1K board is about. So it comes in this very colorful looking box with a USB cable that attaches to your laptops. On the right, we have a pocket-sized M1K instrumentation board. So on one end, it'll connect to your computer, and that's where you will be running your software applications to control and configure the board. And on the other side, you will be using these wires and these header pins to connect to a circuit board. And the breadboard is where you will build your circuit. So all of these things come in the box itself. So that's the first thing that you will need. The second thing that you will need is the parts kit. And there are lots of very useful components in the parts kit, ranging from very simple resistors, capacitors, inductors, transistors, potentiometers, to op amps, LEDs, many other sensors. So you can read the description at the link that I provided earlier to see what all you get in the board, in the parts kit. Now, this parts kit can be used for Intro to ECSE, but also can be used for circuits. It can be used for Intro to Electronics, and there are many other classes in ECSE that are trying to incorporate this particular board and parts kit. So you will be using these parts later on as well. So it's not a one-time, one-use scenario. You will be using this many times. So buy it and keep it safe is what I'm saying. Now, the very important question of how can I get the M1K board? Now, most of you are going to be on campus during the upcoming spring 2021 semester. So that's pretty good, because for those students who are going to be on campus, I will be distributing in the classroom the M1K boards. So you don't have to worry about purchasing it right now. I will be giving it to you in the classroom itself. And I'll talk about, and it'll be for no cost for you, because this has been donated by one of the RPI alum, Doug Mercer, who works at Analog Devices, and who has been a long time supporter of the department. And he has started a donation where every ECSE student who enrolls here in this class gets an M1K board. So for those students who are going to be on campus, you will get this during the first in-person class. And I'm also trying to look into ways how I can get it to you sooner than that, maybe to your dorm room. I'll keep you guys posted about that. You will need the parts kit apart from the board. And the best place to get the parts kit is through the RPI bookstore. It is already in stock over there, so you can place your order and get it shipped either to your home, or if you are going to be in a dorm and you know the room number there, you can get it shipped to your dorm room there. Now, if you are going to be online or remote during spring 2021, I would need your street address so that I can ship you the board. But you will need to buy the parts kit from the RPI bookstore, or you can buy the parts kit from DigiKey or Mouser or other distributors of the parts kit. So I suppose what I'm saying is everybody needs to buy the parts kit from the RPI bookstore. But for people who are on campus, you will get the board during the first class. And if you are going to be online or remote, you need to let me know about your street address through the survey as soon as possible so that I can ship you the board. Now, there is a special case when it comes to the remote students, which is international students. So if you are not in the United States, and if you are in China, for example, then we will not be able to ship you the board. In that scenario, I you would need to purchase the board and the parts kit locally, and you do this locally so that you avoid long shipping times. Try to get the board as soon as possible, and that's primarily the reason we are having this session weeks ahead of the actual first week of classes. So if you are an international student, we will not be able to ship the board to you. Please purchase the board as well as the parts kit locally. Now on this slide, I am listing three main distributors of the board, Mouser, DigiKey, and you can also buy it directly from Analog Devices. The links to these are embedded in this presentation. I'm going to one by one take these links and paste them in the chat box so that you have them. But like I said, if you are not in a rush, then you can also wait for me to post these slides on Piazza and you can take the links from there. And while I do this job of putting the links, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me now. You only need one board, by the way. I'm just giving you a lot of options. One thing to note is that the M1K board is in very short supply right now. Many of these distributors are actually out of stock, and I suppose RPI has cornered the market. I don't know if you guys have seen this already, but Physics 2 also uses M1K board. So, various classes and departments in RPI are using this board, which is why we have kind of cornered the market there, which is why they are in very short supply. But they are going to be soon available. So if you are looking at buying this board for yourself, you can go through these distributors. So that's as far as the M1K instrumentation board is concerned. If I go to the next slide, that is the parts kit information. Now, the best place I would recommend to get the parts kit is through the RPI bookstore. It's already in stock and you can get it shipped to your dorm room, or if you're remote, you can get it shipped to your home. But that's the best way to purchase the parts kit. But you can also get it from DigiKey and Mouser. And I will also be pasting the links in the chat box here. This is for the parts kit. Again, every student needs one board and one parts kit. All right, so that's the DigiKey link, and that's the Mouser link. All right, any questions so far? You can use the chat box, you can use your microphone to ask. Okay, let me move on here. All right, in case you're interested to know ahead of time what are we going to be doing in the course, we are going to be using hands-on experiments to learn these 4 fundamental topics in ECSE: circuit analysis, linear algebra, statistics, electric power. There are also various other topics in the department. However, we will be focusing on these 4 topics. And the way we do this is we will look at 5 units listed at the very bottom, ranging from circuit laws and voltage dividers, solving matrices, and the concept of superposition, dealing with rectangular matrices, first order and second order RLC and RC circuits, and then we will end with AC and DC power. At the end of every unit, you will have a design challenge or an open-ended or sometimes a constrained design problem posted to you. So this will be an experiment in which you will be asked to. It'll be an open design, so you can figure out your own way to satisfy the design criteria. But at the end of every unit, you will have a sort of a more open-ended challenge to deal with to solidify the understanding of those units. That's the grading criteria. I suppose many of you will be interested in this. How am I going to be graded in the class? The grading is going to be based on the first item in the list is 20 experiments. So like I said, every class is going to be an activity or an experiment. And during the experiment, you will perform the experiment, you will report your experimental results, and we have templates in which you could fill in your answers and submit through GradeScope, and that is 30% of your grade. The experiments are done as group of 2. So every group of 2 will be assigned the same grade as long as you have participated and contributed to that particular experiment. There are also 4 exams that are spread across the semester, 10% each, so that will contribute 40% towards your course grade. We will have LMS-based homework assignment for each class. So these are supposed to be very simple, a couple of questions, and that's 20% of your grade. And you will have unlimited attempts to solve the homework assignment. So there's no limit on the number of attempts. The idea is for you to understand some simple concept. So that's we call it problem sets. So those are your homework assignments. Attendance has 5% weightage, and class participation also has 5% weightage. If you want to know more about any of these criteria, please go to the intro-ece.org website and take a look at more details about each of these, how they are structured, how they are graded, what goes into participation, what goes into attendance. Questions here? What time is the homework usually due? So the homework, I actually have it as on time and late version. So the on time version, if it is posted on a Monday, it will be due at midnight on the next class day. So for example, if it is available on Monday of a week, it'll be due on Thursday of the same week at midnight. But there is also a late version of the same homework, which will be available for half the credit for another week or so. So all the details are at the class website. So if you want to know each and every detail about how these things are structured, I have pasted the class link in the chat box. So don't just look at it, actually bookmark it right now, because you are going to be referring to this class website many times during the coming weeks. Other questions? So Brendan says that I'm an undeclared engineer. Will I still be provided an M1K board? Absolutely yes. I will be providing you the M1K board. If you're on campus, I will do it personally. If you are remote, then I will be sending it to you, shipping it to you at your home address. No problem. Okay, let's move on here. So there are a few other things we do in the class, and it depends on the schedule of the guest speakers. So for example, last semester we had a class in which some of the recent graduates from the ECSE department came in and talked to the class about what would they do differently if they started the program all over again. So these were my students from a few years ago, and now that everybody is online, it is quite easy to arrange for students to, or I should say, recent graduates to come in and talk about their experience. So last semester we had that. Sometimes we have technical clubs come in and talk about what they do and how you can get involved. Last semester we had the Eta Kappa Nu Honor Society people come in and talk to the class about what they do and how students could get involved in that. And sometimes you have professors from the department come in and talk about their research. We also have internship experience being shared by current students, for example, juniors or seniors who have gone through an internship experience. They come and talk to the class about how to go about applying and what their internship experience was like. So depending on the time constraints and how the schedule works out, we will have some of these or all of these in the coming semester as well. These are the tools that we will be using for this class. A lot of there are a lot of the tools on this list, but we will be going through them in steps. So for example, the first tool that we will be using is Cisco WebEx meetings, the same tool that we are using right now. And we will be using this same tool for lectures during class times throughout the semester. So that's number one. Piazza is for discussing things with your peers or the instructor or the other members of the teaching staff. So there's an online forum, Piazza, to which you guys have already been added to that. We also use WebEx Teams a lot. So this is WebEx Teams is used to split you up into smaller groups so that you can work on experiments. So early next week, I will be creating the WebEx team for the whole class. And then as we get closer to the class time, I will be splitting you guys up into smaller groups. So we will be using WebEx Teams as well for that. Gradescope will be used for all submission as well as for grading, class related submissions. So all your experiments go there, all your exams go there. Well, that's it. All the exams and experiments go there. We will use LMS or Blackboard for homework or problem sets. And in terms of software tools that we will be using in the class, one is MATLAB, and the other for circuit simulation is LT-Spice. So we will not use MATLAB and LT-Spice for all the classes, but we will install it, and I will help you guys with getting started with these tools. I also use YouTube to publish the recorded content, and there's already a my channel is publicly available. So if you want to go over there and take a look at all the recorded content, or at least, know where it is, that will be helpful. So this is publicly available. Actually, I can just pull up the link to my YouTube channel, and there's a playlist for Intro to ECSE, so that you can go there. Let me see here. All right, so I have playlist. Come on. All right, so that's the playlist for Intro to ECSE. You guys can go over there and just browse through. You don't have to actually start, taking the videos in and absorbing content, but you can look at how it is set up right now. All right. All right. I can answer any questions that you may have right now. So feel free to interact using the chat box. While you guys do that, I'm also going to pull up some pictures from last semester just to give you a sense of how the classroom looked like in fall 2020 semester. So if you guys can see this, we are going to be in the same room, actually, Academy Hall Auditorium. So it's a pretty big space, and I will be, we will follow all the social distancing guidelines, and we will have masks on. But for those of you who are going to be attending this class in person, this is kind of how things will look like. And this is a hybrid class, so some of you might be online. Things happen at the same time, live. So I'll be interacting with students inside the classroom and also on WebEx at the same time. Okay, I'm going to just wait for a couple of more minutes for questions. If you guys have any questions, you can ask them now, or and if not, then we will talk again.
Excuse me, Professor.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, do we need a Windows laptop or computer for this class, or I can just use my Mac for this class?
You can use Mac or Windows. It will be easier in Windows, but if you have a Mac, that's still okay. We have the software applications can go on both platforms. So either is fine, but Windows is slightly easier. That's all.
Okay. Thank you, Professor.
No problem. Other questions, you guys? Again, before we end, I want to thank you guys for joining in. Friday 2:00. During a vacation, I really appreciate you guys joining. But this was important, and I hope that you recognize why it was important to do this early. Thank you, Brendan. Me too. We had a lot of fun last semester. I'm hoping that this one will beat the last semester. You're welcome, you guys. All right, so I'm going to stop the recording here.